What up, everybody? It's your boy Young Fizz, aka Mr. Dope Status on Instagram, and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be doing a breakdown on the mix of one of my biggest songs on YouTube known as Stars. The reason why I want to do this video is because I want to show people that it doesn't take, some fancy plugins to get a great sounding mix. And I want to give you guys the biggest secret into getting a great mix. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and please do not forget to turn on the bell notifications so whenever I drop a new video, you'll be the first one to be notified. So without further ado, I'm going to show you how to take your mix from sounding something like this right here to something that sounds nice, hot, and fat like this here. All right, so let's go ahead and bypass these plugins once more and again. Let me check my options here. I got the pre-fader metering is on, and that's what I want to show you guys. All right, so now the biggest thing into getting a great mix is starting with the recording. So that's the secret, it's just starting with a great recording. So I tracked this beat using my Roland Opticapture, and that was pretty much it. I tracked it from the Phantom into the Roland Opticapture, which is my audio interface, right into Pro Tools. So let's go ahead and start with the toms here. I'm gonna go ahead and solo it, and we're gonna play. We're just gonna listen to the toms. Okay, so it sounds pretty good. I did some clip cleaning on it, some gain staging, because I did record it kind of hot. I'm not gonna lie, I did record it kind of hot, but I kind of made up for it. So the first thing I did was add a EQ, and guys, 99.9% of this mix session is minimalistic mixing, meaning I'm not using anything fancy. I'm just using basic EQ, compression, limiting, and maybe one waves plugin. That's it. So again, let's start with the EQ. So the first thing I'm doing, I'm boosting right here. I'm 6 dB at 5K. So what is that doing? That's just simply opening up that top end right there. Kind of give it some air, trying to give it some click. That's what 5K is doing. It's just kind of boosting that top end there. The next thing I'm doing was a creative move. I decided to make it sound kind of lo-fi. So I just added a lo-fi plugin. And another thing I did was add a air phaser. Now, this is another creative move. So why did I add this? This is, to me, it's like makes it sound like water. It probably makes no sense to you, but in my mind, it's like it makes it sound liquidy, if that's even a word. So that's why I added the air phaser. Now, the next thing I did was add another EQ. Now you're probably saying, whoa, that literally like just killed the whole sound. And you're right. What I did, I removed a lot of that low end because the low end that I was hearing, I didn't really like the way it sounded. So that's why we use EQs to shape the sound that we want. Yes, it sounded fat in the beginning, but it was sounding fat to the point where when I turned it up, it didn't sound good to my ears. So I had to cut out what I didn't want, and then I boosted again. This is some more air. So, 12 dB 0.2 at 3.71. So I'm, kind of just getting some of that, not necessarily top end, but more so like a mid-range type of, vibe here. To me, that sounded really good. And then after that, I added another EQ. Now this is a waves EQ. I didn't have to use this, but I felt like using it. And I just added that low end that I wanted back into the mix. So again, I'm starting from something like this right here. And to me, that sounded very pleasing. Now, last thing but not least, what I did to the toms is I wanted it to sound heavy. So I just simply did some parallel compression, which is on bus number 4 here. And that's going to show up on bus 4 here, which is the BF76. And basically it's 1176. And it's just adding more weight to the toms. And that's all I'm really doing. So nothing too major. It's just very straightforward. Now, the next thing I did was add a clap. So let's go ahead and play the clap here. So let it up. So just doing a little boosting there. You can see the numbers here. So just again, bringing out some of that high end. To me, it just kind of sounded dull. So I just kind of boosted some mids, lows, mid range, and then boosted some highs. But like I said, I'm not really changing the sound, just kind of adding, enhancing what I'm already hearing. So that's the clap. The next thing here is the snare. So I'm just doing some subtractive EQing, just taking out just some of those annoying frequencies that, when you turn it up really loud, it just didn't sound good. So I'm just taking it out. And then just adding some compression. So very light on the compression, just barely even moving the needle. And that's sounding pretty good to me. The next thing was the crash. I must have recorded that perfect because I didn't even put any processing on it. All right, so the next thing was the effect. Just adding some compression, nothing too major. The hi-hats, again, I didn't even do nothing with the hi-hats. Again, because I'm the one that recorded this knowing that I was going to mix it. The next thing I did was add a sub bass. And let's listen to what's going on with the sub bass here. So I'm just going to close out these plugins here and let's just listen to the sub bass. So the first thing I added was an EQ, just taking out the frequencies that I felt that were annoying, that were unnecessary. So let's play before, then after again. Make sure you're wearing headphones so you can hear what's going on with the bass. So just again, doing some subtractive EQing and then, shaving off some of that top end. We don't really need that for a sub bass. So the next thing I did was wanted to tame some of that bass. So I'm just really controlling the bass using just a basic stock Pro Tools compressor. So really subtle, just like it's not even doing anything. It's just kind of just there, just to kind of tame it. The next thing I did was add a Sans amp. Again, this is a stock plugin inside of Pro Tools. And guys, as you can hear, this thing, it sounds so fat with this plugin. And I don't know how many people use this plugin, but this plugin is a go-to. Like if you don't have any other plugins in Pro Tools to use, use this Sans amp. It's 100% Pro Tools stock. So again, before and after. So it just kind of adds some grit, some saturation in there, and just kind of getting that like I said, a Sans amp is getting like that amp sound. And then last but not least, I added an EQ, and I'm just shaving off a lot more of that top end that I don't need. So again, it's a low pass filter here. So that means all the lows are passing. So again, let's listen to it again. So let's bypass these here. Again, guys, that just sounds like butter. It's just so smooth. Now, in the beginning here, I've been playing it from the hook, but let's go and jump to the intro, because I'm using something on this pad here. And the first thing I'm using is just a little thing to make it a little bit wider. So I'm just adjusting the delay between the left and right just to give it some width. So without it, and then with it. So I'm just kind of spreading it out just a little bit, just adding some width to the track. All right. And then also the reason why I wanted to play it from the intro is because when the song first comes on, this is really subtle, and I'm using some automation. But again, these are stock plugins inside of Pro Tools. So this one's called the Time Adjuster, and then I'm using something called the Vintage Filter. And listen to what this is doing here. Just really opening up that sound, and to me, it sounds so smooth, and it just sounds so good, like a breath of fresh air. It sounds inspiring, and it just sounds good. So again, let's play it before. No effects. And then again with the effects. All right, so that is sounding really, really good. So let's move it back to the hook here because I have some more instruments. I'm adding a little piano here. So again, recorded it. I didn't add nothing to the piano, just straight out from the Phantom. And this is the name of it right here. Actually, if you guys wanted to copy these same sounds, these all come from the Phantom. I think there's like one pad that didn't come from the Phantom, which is, I believe, a saw. I use like Expand, but other than that, these are all Phantom sounds, or most of them are Phantom sounds. So the next thing I did was add this little, and then I added this here. And then here. So again, this is just a low saw, and I want to say I use Expand on this. I can't really remember. Let me check my let's see here. It's not really showing. So I think I want to say I use Expand, but it's just a low saw sound, but I added some effects just to kind of beef up the sound. So let's listen to what the distortion is adding to the sound. So it's really just beefing that sound up, making it a lot more beefier. And it's just, to me, it's sounding so good. But I felt that it wasn't sounding right for some reason. So again, I just wanted to add some width to it, and I'm using something called a time adjuster. I'm doing some extreme stuff with this. Be aware that you may have some phase issues. And so I checked this all in mono just to make sure, everything is still sounding right. But check it out. But just listen to how wide it's sounding. This is before, and I'm gonna play the after. So just adding some width, and then last but not least, I added another compressor here, and just to kind of control that bass. And just giving it a sense of more power. All right, so last but not least, the reason it sounds so big is, guys, because I added this reverb, and this is the deverb, and this is a clap verb right here on the let's see, bus number 1 and 2. So we're just gonna go ahead and unbypass that, and I'm just gonna exit out of here. And then also I'm just gonna go ahead and unbypass all these so you guys can hear what it sounds like in its entirety here. So it's sounding really, really good. Last but not least, you always want to get your mix as loud as possible. This is where the Maxim comes in. But before I use the Maxim, I used a Waves multiband compressor, and that looks something like this here. You don't really need to use one of these, but because I understand how to use one, I went ahead and used it, but it's not really needed. So let's listen to what it sounds like before and then after I add these two plugins. So before. And then, of course, my YouTube version, loud as possible. Again, so, I mean, what kind of mix would you rather have? Do you want it sounding something like this here? Or do you want it to sound fat and loud as possible like this right here? I want to thank you guys for tuning in. It's your boy Young Fizz, aka Mr. Dope Status on Instagram. I hope you guys found this video to be some value. If you did, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on the bell notifications. If you guys need your tracks mixed and mastered, be sure to visit my website, www.fizzent.com. That's FIZZENT.com. If you guys have any questions or any comments, please leave them down in the comment section below, and I will get to you as soon as I can. It's your boy Young Fizz, aka Mr. Dope Status, and we will see you on the next video. We out.